Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today I'll show the game played by Pavel and Mikhail, and the game starts with the pawn to d4, knight f6, c4, e6, g3, and c5. Then the knight to f3 and the c takes d4. Then the knight capture, knight takes d4, and d5 was played. And this is the first 5 move, and you can see that position is equal. And the game continue with bishop to g2, and the push e5 to attack the knight. So the knight back to original position, knight f3, then d4, and here you can see that this 2 pawn for the black is quite strong in the center, and the black is slightly better. And the game continue with the white go for a short castling, then knight to c6. After this, e3 was played, and now the bishop to e7. Then the pawn just take the d4 pawn, and the e takes d4 pawn. And here is the first 10 move, and you can see that the black has an edge in this game. And after this, the white continue to play e3 to develop the pawn, and bishop to e6 to keep on develop the pieces. Then the knight b to d2, and now the pawn to d5, trying to attack at the a file and prevent the pawn to push forward and attack the knight. So after this, the rook to e1 was played, and this rook will trying to capture the pawn, the bishop at e6. And here the black just go for castling, and now the white play a sacrifice with the rook. Rook takes the bishop, and after this the pawn capture, and here the black is better. And now the white continue to play a knight to g5 and attacking the pawn, and able to fork the rook and the queen together. So knight to g5 was played, and now queen to d6, and here is the first 16 move, and you can see that the black is better and winning piece. I mean, in the exchange you have the rook versus the bishop. So at this stage, after this, the queen moved to b3, and with the idea of attack the queen, and also the queen can attack the pawn. Or even if your queen just capture, then the knight will just capture the pawn and attack the rook and attack back the queen. So you have a fork idea here. So after this, the knight just goes to d8 and protect the pawn. Then the knight d to f3, continue move, double up the knight and keep on nearer to the king to attack. And another suggestion you can play is that play a c5 to attack the queen. And if your queen capture, then the knight will just capture the pawn, and this knight will just attack both the rook and the queen. And after knight capture, then you can just use the queen to capture it back. And now the king to h8, then the bishop can just take back the pawn, and here you'll be getting extra pawn at this action. So after this position, a4 was played, trying to attack the queen, and here the queen moved to d3 and trying to attack the h7 pawn. And if the knight move away, then it will be a checkmate. So e5 was played, and after this, the white is better in this position, as the knight can capture the the pawn, and here will come a good move that the white can play. So if the knight capture the pawn, and if your queen capture, then the bishop can goes to d5 and attack f bishop to d5 and check the king. So after bishop to d5 and check the king, now if your king goes to h8, then the bishop can go to f4, continue attack the queen, and after this it will win the queen, as the queen has no place to move. So if you capture the knight, then the queen can capture, and after this the knight just capture the bishop, then the pawn capture, and now the bishop capture, then the queen will just capture the pawn, and here the white will be better and winning the black queen. And back to this position, this check, if you block with the knight, and you can just continue to move the queen and attack as well. So again, the queen has no place to move, and now the knight also cannot eat the bishop. So if you use the queen to capture the bishop at d5, then the pawn will just capture it back, and of course the black queen will be loose. So this will be a very good move from the white, and in this situation the best way for the black to prevent is to move a h6 to attack the knight. So this will keep on the pressure on, and the knight need to move away. If the knight move to e4, then the knight will just capture, and after queen capture, then queen to c6 and go for the exchange. And after this exchange, the black will be better in the game. So in the actual game, after e5 was played, and the white continued to play a knight to h4, and after this, the e4, the black keep on attack the queen, and now the knight just capture the pawn, and the knight capture the pawn again, and after this, queen capture the pawn at e4, and now aiming to push the knight to f5 and attack the bishop and check the king, as the queen is protecting the knight being captured. So after this, rook a5 was played, and this rook will prevent the knight to go to f5. So after this, bishop to d2 was played, trying to attack the rook, and now the rook just goes to e5 attacking the queen, and the queen just goes to g4. Then the bishop just capture the knight and go for the exchange, and now the bishop just goes to b4, and this bishop is attacking the queen, and the queen move away, it will win the rook. So the queen goes to e6, then the queen just capture the bishop. And another suggestion you can play that the white can play is to move a bishop to d5, and this will be attacking the bishop and will be pinning it. So if you use the rook to capture, then the queen can capture the queen, and after knight capture, then the pawn will capture, and here you have a double attack, and any of the pieces move and you'll be winning a piece. And in this position you have the extra pawn in this game, so the white will be better. For example, if you move any of the knight to any move, then you win the bishop. So in the actual game, the queen just captured the bishop, and after this the rook just moved to e8, and this will maintain the position of equal. After this, pawn to f4 attacking the rook, and the rook to f5 to block the pawn to move forward. Then the rook to e1 continue the attack the queen, and we have the bishop to protect it, so the queen cannot capture, and the queen just move to d7 and going for trade-off with the rook. So the bishop move to e4 continue to attack the rook, and if the rook move away, the queen will attack and win a pawn of h7. So the knight to c6 was played and trying to attack the bishop and give up the rook, since the black has extra one rook. After this position, g4 was played trying to attack the rook, and now the rook takes e4, a sacrifice of the rook, and the rook just capture it back. Then the rook back to f7 to protect and move away. So after this, the bishop also do not want to win trade-off and goes to d2 and continue the attack and protecting the pawn. Then d3 was played, and after this h3 was played, and now the knight moved to d4, and here we have a strong attack in the center of the board, and you can play a knight to f3, check the king and win the queen. And this is a very threatening, and this is a fork, and we win a piece. Therefore the white goes to queen f2 to protect the knight from attack, and after this the knight to b3, and now the knight is attacking the bishop, and here the queen just moved to e3, then the bishop to b4, and we'll be winning. So the rook moved to e8 to check. After h6, the rook moved to e8 and check the king, and king to h7, and at this position the white is clearly better with a lot of attack. So queen to e4, and here the white is clearly winning. And after g6, then bishop to c3, and you have the rook to h8, and will be a checkmate. And after this position, the rook move to g7 to prevent the checkmate, and here now the bishop just capture and win the rook. And in this position, if you use the queen to capture, then the rook to e7, and we'll be winning the queen, as the queen cannot be moved. Therefore the black do not capture it back, and if you capture back with the king, and again you have a rook to e7, and the king need to move away, and you'll be winning the queen. Therefore the bishop cannot be captured by either the king or the queen, and instead the black just do not capture any of these pieces, and instead the black just move forward the pawn and preparing to go for a queen and check the king. And at this position, the white win the game and mate in 4. I give you a couple of seconds and win the game and mate in 4. Well, congratulations for those who found the answer, and for those who like to enjoy the show, here are the brilliant moves that the white play and make another sacrifice and win the game. And after this move, you can see that the white play rook to h8, and here the black cannot use the king to capture the rook as it's being protected by the bishop. Therefore, the only way is to capture the bishop, and this is a sacrifice of the bishop. So after capture the bishop, then you have a queen to e5 and check the king, and at the same time protect the rook, and the rook is control the square for the king to move, and this will leave the king only one place to move, that is a king to f7. And after this, now the queen is controlling the straight and the diagonal square, therefore the rook to h7 and continue to check the king. So rook to h7 and check the king, and now the king only have two spaces to move. So in the actual game, the king just move to f8. And after this, the black resign the game, and if the game to continue, you can just have the queen to h8 and it will be a checkmate. And with this, thank you.